Nobody wants to work anymore. You've probably heard this saying from time to time, usually from older people. And honestly, I'm tired of hearing it. Like, it's such a lazy take. Do people really believe that? Do they really think an entire generation just suddenly woke up one day and decided to be lazy? Some people can be lazy, sure, but most people do want to work. But they also want to be able to live. Now, just to be clear, this is going to be a rant, and I want to get a few things off my chest. What I'm saying isn't gospel. I'm just a dude ranting into a mic while playing COD. Me, I don't mind working, but it definitely feels like an uphill battle at times. Not to say everything has to be easy, but the game feels a little cracked, if you know what I mean. There's a few flaws in the system, and I feel like it shouldn't be this hard. People still want to work. Most people need to work. There's no free meals out here. But more and more of us are starting to realize that this game is a little cracked. Like, a lot of people are struggling. It's not because of laziness. People don't want to grind at a job just for scraps. Like, what's the point of working yourself to the bone when the reward is what exactly? Barely being able to afford rent and maybe splurging on takeout once a month? Seriously, it's not laziness. It's about survival. Everything is so expensive now. Like, everything. Housing, food, gas, insurance, student loan, childcare. Just name a thing. And it's probably gone up in price in the past few years. And wages, people's pay, not even close to how much the cost of living has increased. You've got people with degrees, years of experience, and doing side hustles just to scrape by and not to drown. In a lot of places, a 2-bedroom apartment is like, what, $1,500? Maybe a little more? Most places require you to make 3 times your rent to even qualify. So if your rent's $1,500, you gotta be making around $5,000 a month. That's $60K a year if you're curious. And that's after taxes, by the way. The median household income is like $80K. That doesn't sound too bad until you factor in the other stuff. And that $60K is just rent. Not adding food, utilities, whatever debt you may or not have, car payments, car insurance, God forbid you have to go to the hospital, and whatever else I'm missing. I didn't even factor leisure or entertainment because I feel like all of our income goes straight to bills. And it's not that folks aren't working, it's just that working just isn't enough anymore. For a lot of people, working a full-time job no longer guarantees you a decent life. It used to be. That's what we were told growing up. Go to school, get a degree, get a good job, and everything will fall into place. You'll buy a house, start a family, take a vacation every once in a while, then retire. But that formula doesn't really work anymore. We're living in a completely different time now. But people still cling to this old narrative like it's gospel, as if working hard is the solution to everything. You can grind for years and still not be able to afford a house. Still not feel financially secure. Can't even consider getting married or having kids. But how are you going to afford that on top of everything else? It's not surprising people are pulling back. Why would anyone give their whole life to a company that isn't paying them fairly or gives them benefits? Why should anyone break their back working overtime for a boss who only sees them as a number? You can only be overworked and underpaid for so long before you start asking, is this even worth it? People love to act like people just don't want to work anymore. But they conveniently forget to mention that places aren't paying enough, or they expect that one person to do the job of 3. It's not that people are lazy. We're just tired, man. Tired of being told that we need to pull ourselves up by the bootstraps, while I can't even afford to buy new boots to hold myself up from. People are starting to realize that working yourself to the bone doesn't really lead to a better life. It just leads to exhaustion and burnout. And for what? A paycheck that barely covers the rent and groceries? You can't shame people for not wanting to work themselves into an early grave when there's little reward waiting for them at the end. Most people just want stability, a little peace, and a home they can call their own. A lot of us grew up watching our parents work themselves to the bone and still struggle. We watched them skip vacations, push through the burnout, and maybe retire with enough to live on. But even that feels rare now. So yeah, we're a little skeptical. We're asking, is there another way? And if there isn't, maybe it's time to make one. We need to stop acting like the world hasn't changed. It has. Hard work doesn't always guarantee security, and loyalty to a company is usually a one-way street. So when someone says nobody wants to work anymore, what they're really saying is nobody wants to work for scraps anymore. At the end of the day, people still want a purpose. They still want to feel useful and valued. But more importantly, they want a life. A real one. Not one where they're constantly choosing between rent and groceries. But yeah, that's the video for today. If it resonated with you or you want to share your thoughts, let me know down below. Drop a like, sub, all that stuff. Anyways, I'm out.